All right, a little flashback for this episode of the Side Hustle Podcast. Aloha, all you beautiful mother fathers out there. Welcome in. Kyle Cornell, AA Anthony Alfred with you, as always. So we're at the desk today.
We are at the desk. We're back at the desk.
Yeah, because someone's time management skills are a little off, apparently.
No, it's not off. It's garbage. No. It's not off. It's garbage.
Yeah.
I work was a little busy today.
Uh-huh.
Work was a little busy today. Work was a little busy yesterday. And, I'm like, we can't do the PowerPoint today. So, no green screen. You know, we don't have that today. So
we're flashing it back a little bit. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, this is...
He's like, shit, I have to edit now and go back and forth and use the cameras. I'm like,
For those who, I guess, have been new subscribers since, WrestleMania?
Yeah, it's been a while. A
Uh,
month and a half, 2 months we've been over there.
This was our home for the first couple of months of this podcast. We was right here doing it. And
You know, I'm going to use a word that AA used to me when he was talking about, just looking for different opportunities with the podcast. This shows our versatility. All right. To be able to do this in multiple locations, we proved that, and then some.
So let me ask you this. And actually, I'll ask you and Pete. So how often, and as you can tell, it's hot as balls
Yeah,
here.
the sound in the background are the fans. At least probably 4 or 5 of them that are just blowing.
That will not be edited out, by the way. It's
deal
hot.
with it. Yeah.
So, I don't know how long you guys have, long-time homes, right? So whether it's your parents' home or your own home, how often do you change the layout of your living room / family room?
Whenever my wife wants to.
Good
But
answer.
but honestly, not that often.
Good answer, Steve.
Well, for a long time we had a sectional, and the way our living room is laid out, it could only go in 2 different positions. So it's like you could have it on this wall by the window or the wall opposite the window, and that was it. So
Yeah.
we typically don't change it too much, but she'll add stuff in. She was working from home, doing some stuff for a while, so she had a desk in the living room, and then she's like, I don't use it anymore, just gets junk piled on it, so she got rid of it. I'm like, all right, whatever.
No. Yeah, I think for me, the last place I was at, we just kept it the same just because we knew we weren't going to be there for more than a year or so.
Okay.
And then obviously what happened. So, I mean, it's rearranged now.
Right.
But,
It's definitely rearranged. So I kid you not, I've been in my place for about 3 years. I have changed the layout of my living room apartment at least 5 times.
I think it's been 2 times since I came back.
Yeah.
At least.
And probably 3 now.
Yeah, because now with the whole the flooding fiasco.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now it's been 3.
So double F for AA.
Jeez.
Flooding fiasco, Anthony Alfred.
It's terrible. It's not a popular thing to work from home. So it's not. I work from home. So it's not. Nobody wants to hear
Listen,
about
if you
work
go
from home
back in the time
problems.
machine like 4 years ago, that was the most popular thing you could have ever said in your life.
I know, but the layout.
Except for us.
Right. Look at us. Look at us.
Look at us.
Look at us.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? But I'm sitting there, I'm like, because I had everything in the living room because the bedroom was flooded, basically. It wasn't flooded, but you know the situation.
Yeah, you were stepping on it. It was like the soil that parted in the Red Sea with Moses. It was still pretty wet.
Yeah.
A little damp.
So I'm operating. I'm in there working. I'm like, this is cramped. Like, I don't like this. So I completely said, screw it, and rearranged everything. Rearranged it. And I love my setup now. Now, we'll see in 6 months if I can still love it.
We'll see in 3 weeks if I don't get bored and decide to do something else.
And I didn't realize that was a problem. I didn't realize, well, wait a minute. You change up your home all the time. There tends to be an issue with yourself.
Yeah, one time I sat down and it was on the floor because the couch used to be there and it just wasn't there anymore. So I just sat on the floor and watched TV. I don't know why. It's force of habit.
Sometimes it's hard to adapt to change. Ain't that a shame, by the way? Sometimes it's hard to adapt to change. There's 2 stories where people are trying to adjust to change. One we'll talk about in a second, and it's actually part of a national sports story, which is with Caitlin Clark. And a lot of people are having issues with not necessarily Caitlin Clark herself, but how to cover her and how our industry, how wrestling kind of went through this a decade ago. And all of a sudden they overcame it. So, now, everybody else has to kind of catch up with this.
You said Caitlin Clark, so that means on our editing software, it's going to be the first clip that pops up is going to be something about her.
That is true.
Trigger. You triggered it.
I did trigger. But we'll get to that in a second. The first story I want to lead off with, and we have video of this.
Before we do this,
Go ahead.
really quick.
Actually, glad you interrupted. I needed this water.
He did. He's been talking a lot, more than usual in the first part of the show.
Man, that A block, I'll tell you, is a killer.
That's a bitch. So, AA, not too long ago, was lamenting me a little bit about this being the side hustle podcast. And us talking about doing work and doing these extra things and all that stuff. And he got a little upset. He was like, man, if we keep doing all this stuff, what's the name of the show? It's the side hustle.
Yeah.
What the hell are you going to do if we start doing all this stuff? And I said, well, the goal eventually for it to be like our main thing. Wouldn't it be kind of cool if this was our job?
That would be cool.
Be kind of nice.
Yeah.
Be pretty cool to make some money off of it.
Yeah.
So apparently the message rang home to someone that's sitting across the table from me now. Because we're getting text messages, Peter and I. We're getting emails. We're doing this whole thing. We're getting like spreadsheets, pinpoints, all this stuff, PowerPoint too, everything. He's got this whole shit set up.
We have resources now, by the way.
Oh, my goodness. He is just going to town. We're going to do this. And we need to meet with these people and do that. I'm like, dude. Apparently, this is becoming the main hustle, so to speak.
Yeah, man, we might be meeting with people,
you're quoting numbers. You're doing all this stuff. Like,
yeah,
my
man.
goodness.
Yeah,
what in the actual wide world of sports are you doing?
Kyle, when you have resources, you can do this.
But
You
you
go
mean
get
a
into
laptop.
details. But when you have resources, you can pull this off.
If you have a laptop and Wi-Fi, you too can try to.
That's right. That's right.
Well, with all these resources, you need to find like a local HVAC company.
Yeah.
Which is funny because that was one of my requests that I worked on today
Nice.
in another city.
Oh no.
If you need heating and air in Detroit,
Detroit. Jesus.
you got you covered.
Yep, I'm sure they'll jump right on board.
Shoot, with the weather, they.
But I thought that was funny. That was interesting.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Well, they
Dreams
didn't
do
say
come true.
They didn't say no. The people we're talking to.
That is true.
That's the important thing.
That is the important thing.
And we don't know which one they'd actually want to go with because, of course, we do some high school football and basketball and stuff too for CBC TV and all that. But I mean,
we'll see.
We'll see. Maybe
We'll see.
Best of both worlds.
And it's something fun. There's somebody else I reached out to as well. And they just opened back up a little bit ago, so we'll see what happens.
Also, want to point out too, we're less than 10 minutes into the podcast, and Double A's already sweating. So that's always a bonus.
Dude, man. All right, let's roll this clip. This is talking about adapting to change.
Yeah.
A certain future WWE Hall of Famer is pretty honest about this particular change. This is courtesy of SK Wrestling. Sir Randy Orton.
So many opportunities, but I think it was kind of time for him to move on. It's unfortunate that it happened in the way that it happened, but it's nice having people in charge of me that understand how important it is for you to be home for birthdays and home for Thanksgiving and home for Christmas. Vince McMahon had us, he had Raw and Monday Night Live where, everyone's, doesn't care if he had kids. I came to him when I was 35 and my back really started going, and I pleaded with him, like, man, I got to, not do as many shows, maybe do half the tour and be able to recover. And he just looked at me and was like, oh, I need you on those shows, Randy. Mother Nature gets us all. And to hear that and go, okay, well, I guess there's no other, thing I can do other than just, wear myself out down to the nub until, I can't walk anymore for this man. And all the opportunities he gave me, it's nice having him out of there, and it's nice having his son-in-law, Triple H, running the game. Nick Khan's great. Everybody with TKO that's come in, stepped in, they seem to get it, and it's a different era.
Yeah.
It's a different.
There you go.
Yeah, courtesy of SK Wrestling
Sportskeeda.
with that clip of Randy Orton.
What a telling thing for him to say.
Yeah.
This is a guy that one of the guys that Vince really lined up to be like the guy
Yeah.
in WWE for a long time. And he talked about being 35. At that point, he already been with the company over 10 years. Like, I mean, it's crazy to think about, one, how long he's been around, two, how good he looks now, and three, the fact that he's actually happier. And we know Triple H obviously played a big part in his life and his career too. But at the same point, I mean, I also love the fact that the
Yeah, can we point this out?
the footage of this thing with the reflection in the mirror. You see that the lady in the back. I wish I had the Pat McAfee telestrator so I could circle it for you. But like, you get the girl in the back picking her nose right there. You get the Randy in the reflection there. You get the other guy doing the podcasting in the back too. He's out there recording some shit. You know, great little painting back there too. There's a random lamp. You got a bunch of stuff just going on over there. I can't tell. I know that's Bob Orton. I don't know if that's his grandpa in the middle or if that's another just old guy that's just hanging out. I mean, oh my goodness.
This is
What a band of brothers that is right there. And one sister.
boy, broadcasting school is really paying off.
We notice fucking everything now, and it's annoying.
It's unreal.
It's
we pointed that out
unbelievable.
while the video was playing.
Within 2 seconds, I'm
I
like,
know.
look at that reflection.
Yeah. I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Randy mentioned something, a ton of things that was interesting. One in particular, Christmas Day. In the old days, they're live. I remember watching those crappy live Christmas Day Raws. Like, Randy Orton was facing Santa Claus on Christmas Day.
They made it worse too. They would try to like combine sometimes. I think it was for a couple of years, like tribute to the troops too in that. So like they kind of felt like they had to go and work because also they want to show appreciation for the armed forces and all that stuff too and everything. And it's like, I can't like request not to work this day when we're doing this too.
Right.
It's like, oh fuck. It's almost like a way that Vince kind of like, you know, maneuvered the schedule to make it all like make sense. But now it's just a highlight show. Or it's like the best ofs or whatever, which it should be. I mean,
it should be.
It's at the end of the day,
Christmas.
There's no off season.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, hey, there's no season. They have season premieres, all that stuff. There's no actual full on seasons.
You made a point several weeks ago talking about like the scheduling with WWE superstars. It's not what it used to be.
No, they used to be working 5-6 days a week. Back in the old days, it used to be you're working every day, and you'd only get maybe a handful of days off home per year. Now these guys and girls work 2 to 3 days a week.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nothing. I mean, I get it's a taxing industry. You put a lot, but again, if you're telling me I gotta be at the arena or whatever it is at noon, I get to leave by 10, 11 o'clock. I have to go to a couple live events where I do basically no, prereq for it. We just have a match and we leave essentially. I mean,
and they actually have time. They had to make time before, but they can actually carve out time to work out. They can actually do like their full body training and recover.
They get to go home for 4 to 5 days a week. You get to go home and be with your family, be around people. And again, we talked about, this came out too, I don't know if you saw this, but the minimum salary for someone who's on the main roster in WWE, $350,000 a year. We're in the wrong fucking profession. Like, I started training for wrestling. I need to get back into it because I just turned 30. So there's still some time.
Yeah, there's nude life now. Because Orton, we used to talk about he was 35 and was ready to call it a day. The injury basically forced him to, got the man upstairs was saying, sit down.
Yeah.
With that injury.
It took like having that surgery with the fusion in his back and all that stuff and everything.
For 18 months, he comes back. It's under TKO ownership. And it's like it's a brand new career.
Yeah.
Brand new career. He can be home for a week or two. And it makes sense, right? Even recently with the match he had at the King of the Ring. Had the match, worked the injury angle. All right, Randy Orton's back home, resting and recovering.
Well, he also got the shit kicked out of him in that match too. Which I give Randy a lot of credit for still doing a match like that at this stage because he really doesn't have to.
Yeah. But it's telling though. 35 years old, Randy Orton, even at that point, even when Vince was still in power, is a legitimate veteran in the organization, and Vince McMahon still said, tough.
Yeah.
Even on a Christmas show, deal with it.
Yeah.
So I thought it was very interesting there, along with everything else that was happening in that video.
Yeah, only rule of advice for sports, Katie, just different angles for when you're doing videos and all that stuff. Because again, as much as I love watching old women pick their nose in the background, I think we could pass on that.
She was not picking her nose.
That hand.
How long was she picking her nose?
That
in this video?
finger is in that nose, and it's been in there probably still to this day.
Can we play this video one more time? Just play it. I just want to see if this.
So it's at the end, I think, is when she starts doing it. Though.
Okay.
So maybe like the last 10 seconds of the video is where you're going to see her start to really go ham.
All right, take a listen again and just watch.
And I'm not talking lunch meat. Let's see. you can be muted if you want. We're not.
It's nice having him
Randy's
out of
talking,
there.
but
It's
I mean,
nice having his son-in-law.
does she wait till the very end to do it?
In the game. Nick Khan's
Let's see.
great.
I mean, her
everybody,
nose is
TKO
probably
that's
itching
come
for a
in,
full
stepped
minute.
in,
Oh, yeah.
seemed to get-
There it is. There she goes. Yep.
Yes!
Digging for fucking gold right there. She is like a freaking minor 49er back in the gold rush, just all the way in.
Now that's flair for the gold if you ever wanted that.
But she started with her one finger. I don't know if you noticed, but she tilted.
Yeah, she did.
And she went for the thumb inside too.
Oh no!
She's trying to she's trying to full on grab some shit and then take it out. She may fling it at Randy. I don't know what she's gonna do at that point.
You see, here's the problem: when you start thinking about your nose and stuff. Now,
Yep. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, it's super annoying.
Oh, it's tough.
Especially if you have hair in your nose too, which she probably does. Look at her. But I mean,
Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba. Choo.
uh,
Probably does. So.
can't get canceled. We
You
don't
know,
have any
can't do
sponsors
that.
yet. Well, we'll edit that out once we get that call back. It
You
is
got
what it
2
is.
weeks left, buddy.
All right.
You got 2 weeks
I'm
left.
embracing the moment while I still do. I have an urge to pick my nose now. Thank you, Melinda. I think that's your name at this point.
That Let's Fix a series might be the only thing that she does.
Let's fix Kyle's attitude before we get a sponsor.
So I mentioned there's 2 stories as far as adapted to change. And Randy Orton and the veterans of WWE have done so.
Yeah.
But I brought this up today. I really, I was in for Kevin Arno on Voice of the Land last night. We talked a little bit about this with Caitlin Clark. And
I should fourth wall the fuck out of you right now.
Don't do that.
I so should. I should fourth wall the fuck out of you.
I know you want to.
Oh my god.
I know you want to.
This fucking guy. Oh, he's professional.
But I find it interesting. I wanted to bring this up with Caitlin Clark. Obviously, Caitlin Clark has nothing to do with professional wrestling. She's not wrestling in a match
Well, yet.
yet.
The day is still young.
The day is still young. She is still young. So, not yet. We'll see about WrestleMania 41.
$350K more than you're making in WNBA for your salary.
Ain't that
just
the
saying.
truth?
Just saying.
Ain't that the truth? I don't think they have any issues with flying or anything like that.
They like athletics.
Mhm.
They like athletic people.
And-
She's one of the most athletic women we know. so.
And, let me ask you this. Who is more likely to have a longer career in general? A female professional wrestler or a WNBA player?
WNBA. At this point. The problem is we haven't really, and you talked about this whole, revolution of things. We haven't had a lot of that
Mm-hmm.
in women's wrestling. We have obviously someone like Natalia
Yeah.
or like Tamina at one point. There's a couple people you can pick out, but if you can go down every single of the 12 WNBA rosters and probably find 2 to 3 women that have played
Mm-hmm.
for 10 plus years or whatever it is, or have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
There's a stark difference because the WNBA has also just been around for 25 years, whatever it's
Yeah.
been. Women's wrestling in the form we know it now, in the seriousness we know it now, has only been around for about a decade.
Yeah.
So it's going to take more time. I think at some point maybe it's more of a toss up, but for now, I mean, it's kind of is what it is. It's WNBA, but again, you make a lot more money wrestling for WWE at this point.
That might be the better question. It's like, would you make more money?
Oh, it's easy.
And that's
Well,
very easy.
we know the answer now.
Yeah, we do.
Ivy Nile is making $350,000 a year.
Crazy.
That is nuts, and she's great. But seriously,
So the general public, and we're all interested in sports and stuff, more so honestly the media, but the general public, they're having a tough time figuring out how to properly discuss WNBA, Caitlin Clark, they have fights too. Well, I don't know how we should cover that. I don't know how we should discuss it.
Hey, Maggie, if you got in trouble. for that.
McAfee got in trouble.
Well, also, dude, come on.
and
Like,
then,
that was
and
pretty
then
rough.
said it again.
Take it from someone who has
and then-
been down that road,
yeah.
unfortunately. Like, you probably shouldn't just avoid it.
And then said it again on Raw, Braun. So, which, by the way, that his comment was edited out on the Hulu broadcast.
Shocker.
9 years ago.
Be an editor at Hulu. How about that?
Yeah.
Well, busy work.
Yeah. It was edited out. Turned out also the Liv Morgan Dominic kiss, which was off of Raw on USA, was edited in on Hulu.
A
Yeah.
little bit of this, a little bit of that.
A little bit of that.
A little bit of kiss, a little bit of that's whack. No,
That's
go ahead.
whack. 9 years ago, WWE Divas was getting airtime for a grand total, probably for one segment, less than a segment. Let's put it to you this way. The entrances were longer than the matches.
It was bad.
And what we mean is the Bella Twins probably winning a match in 30 seconds due to their time being cut. Anytime something went over, it was the women that got their time cut.
And there was a certain type of girl, too, that was getting featured more.
Mm-hmm.
There was some breaks in between, like with the Mickey Jameses and the Victorias and stuff like that, too. Some of the different kind of looking people. But it was a lot of people that looked like, and this is no offense to any of those girls, too, but like the Tori Wilsons, even the Trishas at the beginning, that kind of stuff, too, where it's like, okay, you have to be, blonde, attractive, tan, that kind of stuff to do all this stuff. And the girls that have come in over the past decade or so flip the script and change the narrative.
Started with it. I'll actually give Trish and Lita, obviously.
It was like a blip. It started things, but it didn't pick up after that.
It didn't pick up.
No.
I will give credit to TNA because TNA was actually the first company with Gail Kim and Awesome Kong, and there were others in the company as well. But it was those two women. They were the first, and the company was the first to acknowledge women's wrestling as equal footing with the rest of the show. It wasn't we have women. We have legitimate competitors.
Full-on division where it's going to be
who
competing.
can go.
Mm-hmm.
Who can go. And TNA Wrestling deserves full credit for that.
Tits and Ass Wrestling deserves credit for featuring women.
Ain't that the truth. Ain't that the truth.
Go
by
figure.
the way,
it was in the name the entire time.
By the way, tune in to WOW on Sunday afternoons on Channel 43.
I can barely watch Raw and SmackDown now, dude.
Sometimes I just go through. I'm trying to find some sports to watch. And
you found some sports.
It just pops up. It's just there. 9 years ago, there was a hashtag, Give Divas a Chance. And it actually, one of the good things about Twitter, before it went down the tubes, was that movement. We're sick and tired of, no offense to the Bella Twins, but we're sick and tired of this brand of divas.
It was the presentation.
And the presentation. We're sick of the presentation.
Not the girls
Not
themselves,
even the people,
but it was
the presentation. It could be more than this. And remember, at that time, people who watched the WWE Network was actually exposed to NXT, and they saw what Triple H was doing with NXT. So finally, 9 years ago, I think it was July of 2015, they ran an angle. Stephanie McMahon comes out. We hear you. We're going to bring on these women. And then a year later, the Divas Championship becomes the Women's Championship. But WWE likes to tell the story that, it happened immediately.
It took time.
It took a ton of time.
You mentioned it started with the blip with Trish and Lita, and then it kind of went into this weird period where there was some serious girls that could wrestle, and then some that were just kind of falling into the same patterns. Then we had the blip with AJ Lee and Paige and those ones. And then that's when we saw the 4 horsewomen from NXT come up and really flip the script completely. And that's obviously where things, mainly with Charlotte and Sasha, it started to really go. I mean, Bayley and Sasha at NXT was the first big match where everyone was like, oh, shit, okay, this could be huge. And then it kind of just crescendoed even more into them coming up. And then you get the other ones that kind of came through and did their things. And now we have a women's roster that is, I mean, just as deep as the men's at this point.
Yeah. And how often, even on our show, and we've been doing this now for about 6 months now, how often on our show I mean, we never say, "Oh, we have to have a women's segment
We
in
just
the
do.
rundown." We just do it.
And a lot of times like this, it's near the top because it's some of the best work that's happening on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of what some people think about certain people and some podcasters think about certain people. I feel like I bring up Jim Cornette every other week, but he doesn't like certain women wrestlers because he doesn't see them. I hate to break this to Jim, but Rhea Ripley's only 5'7".
Yeah.
Like, she's not this gigantic, huge. She presents herself.
That's the difference. Is the presentation.
Yeah, but
the presentation it seems like Rhea Ripley's like 6'3".
You would think if you Wikipedia'd her height right now, she's got to be at least 6 foot.
Yeah.
She's 5'7".
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, but she's strong. She carries herself like a star, and that's been the difference between her and some of the other girls that have been around. Jade Cargill, I believe she's maybe 5'8", 5'9".
Presentation, she's 6'5" according to presentation.
Lash Legend down in NXT is actually 6 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
She's actually larger than life. She's probably one of the tallest people they have, tallest women they have, and she's also strong as hell and all that shit too.
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna be one of those future girls, I guarantee you, in the main roster that people are like, oh my god, like she's just bigger.
Yeah.
And she'll be linked to Trick too, because
Mm-hmm.
that's his thing, and he's also fucking huge. But I mean, that's beside the point.
Yeah.
Like, it's, you think some of these girls, and there's a lot of judgments on some of those girls too. I mean, like the Liv Morgans, oh, she's too small. It's like, well, she's finding different ways now to pull people in, and in the absence of Rhea, make people give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of Judgment Day going on, but that's because there's a lot of Judgment Day going on. There's a lot of shit that's happening. It's the Bloodline thing. There's the main story of the group, and there's like 14 things that are happening inside of it. We're like,
all intertwined.
what's happening with Paul Heyman when he's talking to Roman about this, and what about Jay and Jimmy are acting weird, and what's going on with Solos here? And like, there's so many different angles, and now they're tying that into the Judgment Day too. It's a blessing and a curse because it sets you up to be able to have to answer a lot of questions at some point. But to their credit, to this point, WWE's been able to answer a lot of those when it's come time. So while still keeping interest in branching into new stories, so you never know.
And again, I'll just say this: it took time for WWE, even though, and at first when they brought the women up, it kind of felt like they were meeting a quota.
It felt like a push.
Yeah,
Like it was like, hey, we're just gonna bring these girls up.
yeah.
Okay.
Now what?
Now then we're just gonna bring them up. We're gonna give them a match.
Mm-hmm.
We're good, right?
Yeah.
And they said no, we're not. And that's when shit started getting real. They started demanding time because people were actually interested. They were fans of Becky Lynch and Bayley and Charlotte and Rhea and Bianca and all these girls that worked their asses off to get that time. And it's blossomed into Alexa Bliss, those kind of girls earning that time and getting it.
And we have seen, to your point, I would say now, like multiple classes, right?
Yeah.
Of different women. 4 horsemen.
Japanese women on WWE
Yeah.
TV. That was not very common. Bull
Yeah.
Nakano wasn't. I mean, she's a WWE Hall of Famer now, but she wasn't featured very much,
Yeah.
if at all, on WWF TV. I mean, she was one of those first ones too, all the way back in the 80s and 90s. But now you have Asuka, Kairi Sane, Io Sky. I mean, Julia down in NXT whenever she decides to get healthy and debut. I mean, and she's being rumored
And it's
to
normal.
be.
And that's the thing. It's normal. It's not even. And I think for those in the mainstream that are looking to see, like, oh, how can we cover Caitlin Clark? How can we cover the WNBA? How can we cover, how can fans discuss it? Well, first off, it will take time. But when you're on equal footing is when you discuss the sport the same way that you discuss the men.
It's simple. If you want to know how to do all this and how to adjust in the mainstream to sports like the WNBA and how Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, all these stories, you just talk about it like you would if it was LeBron and Kevin Durant.
Just tell the story.
Yeah. I mean, they're drawing now. Caitlin Clark's drawing as many people as they are now
Mm-hmm.
in those arenas and stuff. 17,000 average, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So fucking talk about it like it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all drawing interest. I had an alternative plan for a women's basketball league to make it a little bit different, and this was before Caitlin Clark blew up. So like, we're gonna move the 3-point line in a little bit. We're gonna bring the rims down to about 9.5 feet because more action, more dunking, stuff like that. More girls have the chance to do that. It's gonna get more people excited, and it wasn't meant to be they can't do what the guys do, so we're going to do this. Like, no, it's like we're trying to cater the game so we can get more interest so people will enjoy it and also make it a little bit more easier for you guys too. I don't see a lot of girls with 40-inch verticals. I'm not saying there isn't. I'm just saying that it's you don't see it that much. So how can we make it more fair for everyone to get more involved and do more things?
And again, for those who are saying, well, you disrespected the women's game, guess what then? The NFL disrespected the men's game by saying, hey, defensive backs can't check receivers past 5 yards. NBA players can't hand check anymore. So, we can't have the 04 Detroit Pistons dominate basketball anymore. We need more offense. Changes happen all the time to enhance the entertainment value of said sport.
And when that scenario too, what's the most exciting play you can think of in an NBA game besides like at the end of the game, like buzzer beater, like in normal
slam dunk?
How much percentage of the NBA players do you think can dunk the basketball?
90, 95.
It's like 90, 98, 99%.
Yeah.
Everyone can dunk the basketball.
Yeah.
How many percentage of the players in the WNBA you think can dunk?
10.
No.
And I'm being very generous.
It's like 4%,
Yeah.
3%. And it's really only like 5 or 6 players. This is my point. It was those kind of little adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't need to do that now because they
Right.
have the actual eyeballs on them, and it's all cinema at this point. People are in they found a way to make the best college basketball player ever
Yeah.
an underdog.
Amazing. Men and women.
Which is, again, okay. You thought people were going to be behind her before. Now, fuck. I mean, now she's on this. She's trying her hardest on this Indiana team, and she just keeps getting beat up. And I want Caitlin to do really well. I want her to. That's what people are saying.
I know.
And people are going to the games, and they're buying her fucking jersey. Her jersey sales right now ranked 4th overall, including NBA.
That's amazing. And it will continue to climb. It will continue to climb.
It's nuts.
And guess what? Just like in entertainment, your favorite character is in a storyline. Your favorite character has to go through adversity. Your favorite character is going to get beat up. Favorite character has to go through it or to get to the top. And if they make it easy for you, it's a little less interesting to watch.
Roman Reigns, initially.
Yeah. You're not going to watch it.
Yeah.
Becky Lynch, part of the draw of you can't tell the story of professional wrestling in the last at least decade at least. You can't tell the story of professional wrestling without telling the story of Becky Lynch's rise to the main event of WrestleMania.
I think you can't tell the story about women's wrestling at all without talking about Becky. I think that's why she was, I believe, on both of our Mount Rushmores, and she was close. I mean, especially because she wasn't as featured.
Yeah.
Charlotte and Sasha were the 2 big stars. Bayley was the homegrown, like I've always loved WWE, all that stuff. Becky was kind of just a scrapper that was there, and she was lost for a little while. She had won a championship or 2, I think, but she was still kind of just like floating around. And then she got punched in that face, and that shit just switched everything.
It changed.
It did. She got hotter than hell, and she main evented WrestleMania, and she set the standard for a long time. So, I mean, the leaps and bounds. But again, if people are looking to kind of correlate how to take, as you mentioned, the female side of sports and WWE, WNBA, and all that stuff, how to talk about it, how to be about it, you said it best. Treat it the same way you would the NBA, NFL, whatever it is, because it's getting that kind of attention. So why not?
And one last thing before we move on, we got to stop this whole, men can't talk about women's sports. Women can't talk about men's sports because women talk about men's sports all the time. They're watching.
Who gives a shit? If you know what you're talking about, talk.
If you know what you're watching, talk about it.
Yeah,
it's okay.
If you play basketball for 15 years and you want to commentate on the WNBA or whatever you're seeing, I mean, I trust your judgment.
Yeah.
It's like if JJ Redick goes out and starts talking about, Caitlin Clark did this and here's why. I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen because he played the NBA for 17 years. It's like it makes a lot of sense why these guys are on TV and doing these kinds of things, whether they're talking about male or female sports. Who gives a shit?
We got to cut that out because, we don't. There's a.
Stephen A. talks about women's sports. He must be sexist. It's like, what the fuck? No. It's like he's commenting on what he's seeing, and it's a story. And he's supposed to be entertaining. It's his job. It's what he gets paid millions of dollars to do.
Yeah.
So fuck you, all you people that are just like, it's like, whatever.
And guess what?
Because you can't cancel me, so eat my ass.
And,
all right?
and guess what? Stephen A. could have He could have been talking about the WNBA 3 years ago. He could have, but guess what? He didn't.
So could have you.
He didn't because it wasn't entertaining enough to cover it.
It wasn't.
And now it is.
You know, Bill Burr had a great thing about the women's sports in general. And he's like, there's more women than there are men in this country. He's like, don't blame me. He's like, why aren't the women watching? And now they are. Now, you know, I think Caitlin's done a great job promoting that.
You put a lot of men in, too. But
And-
you're right.
Yeah.
And there's other stars, too. Angel Reese. There's stars there, too. It's not, you do need, I think in all Force Entertainment, Pete and Kyle, you need that one star probably to, like, bring you to the dance. But then you get the other main characters
So is
involved, too.
Caitlin the face in this and Angel the heel?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
really,
and
And
really
Angel
it's,
wants it that way.
and
She
really
does.
it's
She may
and
say
it's
she
a
doesn't, but she
story.
does.
It's it's a story.
Yeah.
You know.
Angel wants it that way. And people were introduced to this whole, to Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese because of their battle last year in the tournament.
Yep.
They were introduced.
Maybe AEW should watch WNBA.
You need to stop acting like you know what you're talking about.
Hold up.
I have no clue what I'm talking about, but I know that.
You need to stop.
Man, look at Pete taking notes.
It's almost like he's been a producer for 6 months on the show and has picked some shit up. This is crazy.
Picked up a little bit here and there.
Man.
Put it down. Walk away slowly. It's going to blow up in your face.
Wait till he actually starts watching the shows.
Oh, man. One of these days, we're going to convince Pete to actually watch something, and he's going to be like, man, what the fuck was that? Just don't watch on Wednesday or Friday night on TBS or TNT, and you'll be all set.
Well, don't worry. When the NBA, never mind.
No, they'll get their deal. They'll get their deal. They may actually. You know what? I'm actually convinced now they're going to get more than what they originally thought they were going to get.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because I guess now we're just living in an inflationary period where you can just pay a little bit more for everything. But
Ain't that the truth?
ain't that a bitch?
Man. All right, let's talk about. There's a lot of directions we could go.
We
here.
were here, so we might as well do the AEW shit and just get it out of the way.
Okay, take it away. I mean, do you want to do the Dolph thing, or do you want to do the championship match?
I don't want to do either, but I felt like we needed to talk about it.
All right,
Sorry, my voice is cracking like I'm a teenager today. For some reason, my throat's all over the place.
let's start with the championship.
I'll have to be young again.
Let's start with the championship. So
Yeah, this bullshit. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you saying something?
I did. So the next pay-per-view, let's set it up and then we'll peel it back.
Like an onion.
The next pay-per-view for AEW, Forbidden Door. Ask Tony Storm about Forbidden Door.
That's an ass stroke for anyone who's wondering.
So the
She
championship
has
match,
a rather fine dump truck. All right, go ahead.
So the match for the championship for the world title, Swerve versus Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay earned the opportunity by winning the Casino Battle Royal, which is their answer to the Royal Rumble.
Question.
Yes.
What is a battle royal?
I don't know, but it's hot.
I told
They-
you I was going to roast the fuck out of you today. I'm sorry. Figuratively and figuratively.
Wait.
Turn the heat up, Pete.
Wait till the bacon comes in. So the casino match happens. Real Ospreay wins the match. He's the number one contender. However, do you understand the format of said match?
Yeah, it's fucking retarded, but go ahead, explain it to the people at home.
So there's 21 participants in this match, and you're randomly drawn into the match. However, because it's a battle royale, the match could end at any point. It's not like the Royal Rumble where the match continues until everybody's in.
Because that's fair.
So you could be the 8th, 9th person, get a pinfall or submission, and win the match. And that's what Will Ospreay did. So Roderick Strong comes on. Let me set this up. So if you were one of the 122,000 people who watch AEW Collision, Kyle, I know you were one of them. You saw that Roderick Strong stormed to the back and went past Christopher Daniels. Now, mind you, Christopher Daniels, what's his role?
He's supposed to be, I guess, what the enforcer, the GM or whatever it is, or he's supposed to be Tony Khan's proxy at this point.
He's the assigned EVP.
Yeah.
If you have problems,
Go to
you
him.
don't go to Tony Khan.
You go to
Christopher Daniels.
So fuck him immediately.
So
Way to
Roderick Strong
bury him.
goes back there. Christopher Daniels is in the scene. Hey, what's going on?
Where's
I need
Tony?
to talk to Tony.
Tony.
Tony's right there. Moves to the side, talks to Tony. Christopher Daniels, bye-bye. And then goes on to say, hey, I'm the whatever champion he is right now, international champion.
Well, he was. He lost to Will.
Yeah. Whatever champion he was. I should have been the number one contender, but I never had an opportunity to get into the match. I deserve a championship match against Swerve. Make it happen, Tony. We both had severe neck injuries. You know what it takes to overcome a severe neck injury.
Tony Khan was off TV for like 2.5 weeks. Fucking eat it.
Tony Khan looks around like an idiot. Jeez, you know what? That's a great idea.
If you threw a pal in there, I would have fucking threw up.
That's a great idea. Wednesday night, and by the way, you can see when in the clip, Tony's trying to remember his lines. Wednesday night at AEW Dynamite in Denver, Colorado.
He looked around for like a fucking cue card.
It will be you versus Swerve for the AEW World Championship. That's a great idea.
And the problem is he came out and said, I need to be on TV less. So what does he do the next fucking night?
He's on television.
He's on fucking television. Like,
on television.
you hypocritical child. Like, my God.
So here lays fundamental problems here. If you're going to give Roderick Strong a championship match.
Which, you know what? Hey, premise, love Roderick Strong. Always have. I thought he did some of his best work in WWE with NXT too, with the whole with the Undisputed Era. Having Adam Cole part of that group now too, Undisputed Kingdom.
This is
whatever.
not a criticism of Roderick Strong.
It's not, because I like Roddy. The premise of what they're doing though is absolutely insane, and you're about to prove that.
If you did not make it into that match, guess what? He would have been the 10th entrant according to this. Person 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21 should also be backstage and should be able to go right past Christopher Daniels and go to Tony Khan and also demand and also receive a world championship match against Swerve.
This is good, Double A. That means now that Tony's got his booking set for the next 3 months. For once, he has long-term storytelling. It could be every person that didn't get to enter the casino battle royal gets to do it. How about this? Instead of doing that, have 10 people and do an hour-long gauntlet match. You put a 60-minute time limit on it and go through that. Then if you do have one person left over at the end that didn't get in because there's 2 people left and the time expires, what do? You come next week, you book a triple threat match. You can find a way to take up TV time and do that, especially if they move to 3 hours, which he wants to do now. Which, God have mercy on everyone, so if they said to 3 fucking hours of Dynamite.
Whatever, make it 5 hours.
Don't.
Make it 5 hours.
Make it 0 and have it disappear. I shouldn't say that because people are getting paid. I like the fact that they have somewhere to work.
Make it a 5-hour show. Their roster size is going to grow anyway.
But listen, I mean, TNA is looking pretty good right now. I mean, MLW is looking pretty good. I don't know. I mean, there's other places you guys can go.
The second problem puts them in a match. Oh, the second part of the announcement. AEW World Championship, and the winner will face Will Ospreay at AEW Forbidden Door. So
Swerve has to win just to get to his title match he was originally promised.
Yes. This is... And guess what?
Good job, Tony.
Guess what? In wrestling, there have been situations in the past where somebody who felt deserved to be in a championship match felt wrong. And what they did, hey, guess what? You'll face the world champion, but it will be a non-title. And if you win said match, we'll add you to the world championship match. We'll make it a triple threat at the next pay-per-view. More than likely, you'll lose the match.
Yeah, unless there's someone that's just has no direction, or there's someone who is over, and you're trying to find a way to get them involved and see how they kind of do with the main eventers.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, Roddy's at that level now where he should be considered somewhere in that upper mid to lower main event scene.
If you don't want Swerve or Will to take the fall,
Yeah.
you add Strong to the match.
Which, again,
Add him to the match.
Adam. So fucking stupid. But like, I wish my brains didn't work like this. But
Both Adams, by the way, are injured. By the way,
yeah, go figure. But
what did he step on this?
it's
8 stories, top of a cage,
we already went through that. I don't want to do it again.
triple tier cage match.
We're gonna put a cage on top of a cage, on top of a cage. Now hear me out. You're gonna jump from the top of it. How old are you? 50? Wait 10 more years and do it again. Fucking idiot.
Where's David Arquette when you need him?
Away. Away. Yeah, this thing is garbage. I mean,
But that little thing, though, that's just when people. And I didn't even seek to see if Dave Meltzer defended this. He probably did.
well, what's Swerve gonna do? He's got like 3 weeks before the pay-per-view. He's got to do something. I mean, you might as well have him wrestle.
We ought to make that.
He gets paid to wrestle.
We ought to make that a bit.
So he fucking wrestle. Fuck you.
What? AI Dave Meltzer. What would he say? Make that
Something dark side. Something bullshit about wrestling that makes no sense. Something. Back to you, Double A.
Thank you. But those things right there, and people wonder.
I fucking don't.
No, the people in the company wonder.
Oh, why they're drawing record lows? There was no NBA competition on Saturday. Why is Collision doing half the numbers they normally do? Psychos.
But, as you pointed out to me as well, when you have somebody like Dolph Ziggler, who could be interested in coming in, I guess here's, you want direction. You want to be given direction, something. And when your boss is just happy to have you there, and your boss doesn't give you direction, and, you got a career to think about. And this is a continued pattern of guys who are trying to reestablish their careers, and AEW's not helping.
No.
You're losing money going to AEW. You'll take a payday, but you're losing prestige, and you're losing future earnings going to AEW.
And it got to the point now with this whole MJF thing, too, where we don't even know if, WWE really even tried.
And that's something...
We don't... I mean, maybe we'll find out one day. Maybe Dave will spill the beans on some bullshit at some point, whatever. I don't think MJF likes Dave very much either. But, I mean, it's one of those things where it's did Triple H really try to get him? Or did he say, you know what, kid? Why don't you stay there for a while longer? We're good.
Could they have... If MJF would have came to WWE, would they have been able... I don't even want to say fix him.
There's nothing to fix. The biggest concern with MJF coming to WWE was, can he be himself? Because if he could, all bets are off.
What I'm saying, though, can you trust him not to curse?
No.
During a promo?
Can you trust CM Punk not to?
I'm talking about, words that are forbidden on a family show.
Well, that's why
where you actually have to answer to sponsors.
Well, Netflix is different.
I understand that.
They can still bleep shit out if they wanted to. Whatever. I mean, it's you.
Can he be trusted to? I don't know.
I think one thing about MJF, I think all the bravado and bullshit aside, he's very professional.
Yeah.
So if there was rules he had to follow, I'm sure he would do it.
Yeah.
But at the same point, if you go to a Netflix or whatever it is, I mean, say whatever you want.
Yeah, you can.
At this point, I mean, obviously don't get canceled.
Yeah.
But if you want to swear a little bit, yeah, do your thing. You want to call someone a chicken shit on the air, do it. That's cool. You want to, you can say those kind of things. You can do those kind of things. You can be yourself.
You can.
I think that's the biggest thing. Maybe he was even still concerned about.
Can he be himself still?
Can I really be myself there, or is Tony just going to let me do whatever the fuck I want and pay me so much money that I can just coast for the next 3 to 4 or 5 years?
And again, if MJF is the highest paid wrestler at AEW,
he has to be now.
Good for him. What did Dolph say about?
I have the quote
about AEW.
So Dolph Ziggler, now Nick Nemeth in TNA, the wanted man, as he put it. Talked about his confrontation, his experience with AEW, because he talked to him about coming to wrestle for him. And this is the exact way he described how Tony approached him about wrestling. Tony Khan. How approached about how he would handle him wrestling in his company. And I quote, "I talked to Tony a long time ago, and he was like, just so you know, you can do anything you want while you work here. He wants everyone to have a good time and doing every possible thing. That's awesome. And a lot of people that I know that I like are working and going to AEW, and I love a bunch of people in AEW. I love AEW. Tony's freaking great. I was just weighing my options and figuring out I didn't have a plan. I've got this thing in my head. I want to go and make a name for myself on the independents just to see if I can go outside this New York bubble," which New York bubble's hilarious. Whatever. They're international now at this point. "I want to see if I can hang or be better or the best everywhere around the world. I just got out of a long-term relationship, so I'm not looking to get engaged or anything like that. Looking to get engaged to the business again," which, more credit to you, buddy. I think I know how that feels more than anything else. But still, like this, the telling line obviously is, I talked to Tony a long time ago, and he told me, just so you know, you can do anything you want here. He's not even writing TV. Like, he's having these guys come in and just basically book their own shit. It's fantasy booking for the wrestlers. What do I feel like doing today? And then Tony will make amendments and kind of move things around a little bit if he thinks he needs to. But other than that, he just basically says, do what you want.
If you want to exercise, if you want a good exercise, it's been 5 years now. Watch the first episode of Dynamite. Like, go back October 2019. Watch episode 1 of AEW Dynamite. And I watched a few clips over the weekend. I remember watching the first show, but I watched a few clips, and I might do this homework assignment myself. And I'm just thinking, man, they had it made.
No, but they had what I told you before. They had the goodwill of wrestling fans. Because, again, people were tired of WWE. We need something different. Oh, there's another person with billions of dollars starting a wrestling company who has names like Cody Rhodes, Chris Jericho. We know some of these guys. Kenny Omega gets talked about a lot. We haven't really seen him, but okay, this is our chance to see him. Cool. There was a lot of mystique, a lot of intrigue. What is this going to look like? What's it going to be? It's all gone now.
And Cody's run in AEW was far from flawless.
It was terrible.
Far from flawless. The second half of his run was not good.
But I would argue
the first
his
half,
entire run was rough.
But the first half, he was a necessary filter. While Tony was learning the business.
He's still.
The problem, though, as is clear, maybe other than Cote, he learned from the wrong people. And maybe the Young Bucks had more influence than we would have liked to believe.
Oh, what do you mean?
And it's obviously clear now that they had as much influence as you could imagine, and then some.
Oh, Tony, guys don't want to work for someone like Vince or someone who's like a boss, dude. Just, hey, just relax. Let people do what they want. Trust me, it's all going to work out.
And again, when Vince McMahon was on the other side, not giving Randy Orton a break on Christmas Day, you can get away with that.
Tony Khan is paying half his roster to sit at home and do nothing.
And that's the worst.
Period.
Yeah.
Or flying them out to TV, nothing for you. Why am I here?
Or writing the show. Oh, Tony Khan is starting to become like Vince.
He's starting to change the show the day of.
Yeah, day of, when the show's happening.
When that sets in, when you start doing those kind of things, you're losing confidence in yourself. Vince lost confidence in himself a long time ago when it came to that kind of thing. As far as being able to really put on a show that he thought was going to make everyone like, go, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, he
hears it. Tony hears it.
Yeah, well, of course he does, because he's all over the internet. But then again, I think that there's a chance that he really doesn't. Because I told you, he just listens to, like, Meltzer. He doesn't listen to... He'll have people come to him with, like, stuff from, like, Jim Cornette and some of the and Busted Open and all that stuff that actually
But he takes great offense.
Yeah, he doesn't take it as constructive. He takes it as
Oh, you're trying to ruin my company.
Why are you trying to step on the little guy? You should be trying to step on WWE. They're the Harvey Weinstein. I'm the Coke. I'm the Pepsi. It's like you're an actual idiot if that's what you think.
Yeah.
Like, some people care. Some people are trying to give you advice. Bubba Ray Dudley offered to come on and be a general manager and get paid nothing.
Yeah.
All these guys, these veterans that have been in the back, that have been working there, that have made guest appearances. Eric Bischoff's been there a couple times too. Whatever it's been at the beginning, he's like, no one ever asked for anything from me. No one ever asked for advice. No one asked for any advice on their matches. Tony never asked for any advice on how to run the company or how I did this or how would you do that. It's like you have all these resources at your disposal besides the greenbacks that your father has put forward for this, and you don't use it. That's why it's so frustrating, because all these guys and girls that are trying to work, but they're kind of left to their own devices. They don't know any better.
And the frustrating part and the reason why, and we hear it from our fans, like, oh, how could you guys come down to AEW every week? Well, here's the reason.
Watch the fucking show, that's why.
But here's the big picture, the true big picture reason. If AEW fails, if AEW's off the air, there won't be a second professional wrestling show that gets major television time on a good cable network. It won't happen.
TNT or Turner will never touch wrestling again.
It will not happen. You have executives who run as far away from professional wrestling as possible, and they have for years.
Unless your name is WWE.
And it's taking years, even for WWE, to bring some of those sponsors back.
Wrestling wasn't cool for like a good 10 to 15 years, and even now still some people are like, you watch that?
There was a time for a good solid probably 10, 15, 20 years post Attitude Era.
Yeah.
If you walked around wrestling fans can relate to this. You did not confidently say, I watch professional wrestling. You didn't confidently say that.
Nope.
You didn't go out in the streets like, yeah, I got to watch Raw. You didn't do that. I mean, you might have tuned in. You're not going out in public and saying, man, did you see what the Spirit Squad had to say on Monday? You didn't do that. It's taken a lot of goodwill. And when you see a company piss it away and not do anything about it and think that they're right and not do anything about it, it's going to be hard times if that TV deal falls through.
Like I said, they're going to get their contract because, again, Turner's scrambling. And they will have a little bit more money to spend, but you're not getting this $1 billion, $5 billion deal that WWE's been getting, or $2.73 billion, whatever Fox paid for SmackDown at that one point. I mean, like, whatever USA paid recently
That's
for
gone.
it too.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to get, like I said, probably what you got before, maybe a little bit more for inflationary reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
maybe that third hour, which nobody advocates for a third hour on a wrestling show, but it's a revenue driver.
The Raw thing just kills me with the third hour, man. I still, it's SmackDown to me it's nice because it's 2 hours, it's buttoned up. I could watch it pretty quick if I record it, that kind of thing. Raw is like, man, I got another hour.
It's time to get to Raw. Let's talk about Raw. I have a complaint about Raw.
Oh, yeah?
I do.
Well, you're wrong about this, but go ahead.
But there are levels to this. There are levels to this. As you are well aware, I watched the Hulu version of Raw. I have to cut cable a little bit. Sling TV, USA Network's not a part of my Sling TV package. So I get the Tuesday Hulu.
You're counting on January.
I get the
Netflix deal.
I'm counting down, baby. Counting down.
You can watch the whole damn thing.
Man. So
and the overrun.
So I get Hulu. So, number one, if you do not make it to the Hulu version of Raw, I can't review that segment.
Yeah.
Sheamus, heard you had a great match. Didn't make it. Final Testament, y'all rough. That might be our next Let's Fix It, by the way. Because y'all in trouble. Even though Kyle tells me there's potential, but didn't make it to the Hulu version of the show, so I can't share that level of optimism.
I just like that it's an actual story. It's not just attacking random people for no reason. They actually are building this up and
So I'm watching the show. I'm enjoying the show. Don't take this as, oh, I don't enjoy the product. I'm enjoying what's going on with Judgment Day and the multiple stories that's going on with Judgment Day. Finn Balor is turning into
Papa Balor.
Yeah.
He's a daddy now.
He's turned into that friend that everybody needs to save themselves.
Dom doesn't want to be saved, though. So.
Tom doesn't want to be saved. We'll talk about that in a sec.
I have an effect on women. I can't help it. That was the best line I ever saw. Is I can't help the women that desire me. He's like, dude, what?
Dude, chill. But it's a problem that Raw has right now on June 6th. This is not a problem that Raw will have in August. This is not a problem that Raw will have when people come back. I'm watching the show, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, who right now, with an active story, can I actually root for? Who is the central babyface of Monday Night Raw at this current moment? Who's there right now?
Jey Uso.
You bring up Jey Uso. I knew you was going to bring up Jey Uso.
I got two more, but I'll let you go first.
Jey Uso, love Jey Uso. He doesn't have an active story until Money in the Bank season.
That's a story now. It's the
That's
build,
in a couple of weeks.
which you probably will win.
That's in a
imagine.
couple of weeks.
Yeah, what?
But that ain't
month?
the next pay-per-view.
No.
I'm happy. I am happy that he set his intentions. I'm happy about that. But that also tells me that he doesn't have a current story.
Yeah.
Who else? Mention your other names.
Sami Zayn's one.
Sammy's a good one.
Yeah.
And
He'll
then-
always be over as fuck with them. And I got a name that's controversial because technically he's still, I guess, a heel, but he's being presented more and more as like kind of like the guy who's going to eventually be one of the top baby faces. Damian Priest.
And Priest is. I'm glad you brought up Priest. Now, Sami Zayn
He's also
probably.
your-
Now,
your
Sami Zayn probably debunks this a little bit because, how can you boot Sami Zayn? How could you? But the bigger story, he's not. He's an important piece to the story of the Chad Gable, but he's not the piece, right? The piece is Chad Gable and then eventually Otis.
I think the piece is the Intercontinental Championship. That's the whole reason why Chad lost his mind in the first place.
Well, but it's now turning into, Otis finally
Alpha
turned.
Academy thing, yeah.
Yeah, and Otis is not there yet at this moment. Again, that'll change in a couple of weeks, we think. But I'm watching this like in the main event scene. You bring up Damian Priest. So Damian Priest a month ago, and this might be just me, I might have missed it. Damian Priest a month ago had this whole story post-WrestleMania that, hey, I don't want Judgment Day to help me win matches. That was leading into his feud with, Jey Uso. I don't want Judgment Day help. I want to prove that I can win matches on my own. Okay? But then, the very next segment, I need Judgment Day to be as strong as ever. I need Judgment Day to be a united front. And I see Judgment Day beating up whoever they're facing every single week. Now, that's not a complaint as far as the booking of Judgment Day themselves. They're heels. They're supposed to do that. But I'm a little confused on the overall booking of Damian Priest at this very moment.
Do you remember his first, real gimmick on the main roster? Before he joined Judgment Day, Priest always teased there was a light side
In the dark side.
and a dark side. Long-term storytelling. He battles with that now when it comes to this. On one hand, he wants to be this, crazy good champion that everyone respects and loves, and he can do it all on his own. But on the other hand, he has his family. He has his Judgment Day that he needs to nurture and try and grow and try and keep together because it's always known. It's how he's gotten all the success, is by being a part of this group, and he feels like he owes it to them to be their leader and to do all this and to bring them together in times where they seem to be fracturing with Dom kissing random bitches and all this stuff. Love you, Liv. That wasn't a comment towards you. It's just in general. Because we don't know what else Dom is doing. He could be creepy out there. But nevertheless, you get the point. I figure with Pat saying what he did, I probably should clarify a little bit. But whatever, you can't cancel me, so eat a dick. But nevertheless, this is my point. He's...
I forgot, but here's the thing, though. You mentioned that. Number one, Bad job out of me. I forgot about that. But you're right.
We're deep thinkers over here.
You are right. But there's no signs with him recently, lately, where you see him thinking, oh no, should I do the right thing or should I stick,
He was pushing guys off of like Jey Uso and stuff as recent as like a couple weeks ago. It wasn't that very long ago.
But that was a few weeks back.
And now McIntyre has been kind of he hasn't been as involved because he was obviously hurt too.
Mm-hmm.
So they haven't been able to do a lot of stuff physically in the ring like that. So I imagine
But that hasn't happened, not counting the McIntyre thing for a second, put that aside.
No.
That with Priest, that hasn't happened very much late. Like, and I only say this because it would be one thing if there wasn't a ton of Judgment Day stuff happening. But there's a ton of Judgment Day stuff happening. So even though he did that a few weeks ago, several weeks ago, it seems in storytelling age, that's a little while ago.
I think, too, the thing with him is, like, he's not the center of attention right now when it comes to Judgment Day. It is the Liv and Dom shit. It's, even with his own match, it's Drew with CM Punk, right? And all that stuff. That's the big story everyone's kind of waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of did what he could with what he could at the time, and now he's kind of just hanging out.
And now what you're getting, and this might be the little dangers of a heel versus heel story at the moment for the championship. Drew McIntyre, obviously, is a heel. But Damian Priest is also a heel. I understand the dynamic is going to be different at the pay-per-view, obviously.
Well, Drew's going to get cheered out of the building.
But on Raw, I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't know if there's a central character that I could root for. Do I root for Dominic Mysterio? Obviously not.
Well, you think his dad's a piece of shit, so you should root for him.
I ain't rooting for Rey Mysterio. If you was gonna, I was waiting for you to say Rey Mysterio. Like,
well, no,
God, here,
no. So
Rey
if
Mysterio.
you hate Rey so much, you should be rooting for Dom, right? You want him to kiss every girl on that roster, don't you?
And then get beat up by Rhea. But that's the thing.
She's gonna break his ass in half.
Oh yeah, but you see, that's the thing though. Like, maybe this is a test here as far as storytelling. All right, if there are very few baby faces on the show, let's see, Sheamus,
Ilya, Ricochet, Sami Zayn.
Ricochet.
He's just gonna get his ass beat by Braun Breaker for a little bit, but that's fine. It's gonna lead to Braun versus Ilya, which we can't wait for.
Braun Breaker, another great week.
He's not even really healing it up. Braun's just kind of being like, "Hey,
another great.
There's heel, there's face, there's fuck you in the middle."
Yeah.
And Braun's kind of like one of those fuck you guys.
Yeah.
Stone Cold was a fuck you guy.
Yeah.
He's like, you can boo me, what? You can cheer me, what? Didn't matter.
But there are very few baby faces, Sammy. But either they're not at the top at the moment of their stories, or they're not the most important piece of their story. And I guess that's what I was just thinking. I'm like, well, if somebody is watching Raw to watch their favorite superstars, to watch the good guys, I don't know who they could pick from.
You know, it's kind of interesting because it's such a stark difference right on SmackDown because the good guy, Cody, is on SmackDown.
Exactly.
So
he's the central figure of the show. Yeah.
So you look at that and you're like, where's that on Raw, right? I think the point of having two shows, which I think AEW kind of lost when they decided to do Collision too, the whole point, is to have two different kind of shows.
And that was during the GOAT ages of the brand split in the 2000s.
And they're kind of trying to touch back into that, I think, a little bit with this. Is it right or wrong? I don't know. But I mean, like, having that, hey, we have the most over babyface in the company, our champion over here, and we have Punk and those guys too, and Punk's a tweener in his own right. So, I mean, he's a face, but is he really? You never know. I mean, one day he could just come out and be like, fuck you all you.
I want to make this clear. This is not a Monday Night Raw has this problem permanently at this moment because the faces you are going to root for, they're on the side. Rhea Ripley's on the sidelines right now.
Yeah.
CM Punk's on the sidelines right now. Becky.
Taking that break.
Seth
Rollins
out.
Seth
Rollins is out.
He's another guy that would be considered one of the guys you could root for.
You got at least 4 different legitimate go-to baby faces that are gone right now.
Yeah.
So who is going to be that big? And Jey Uso at this moment is not in an active story.
One of these days, they're going to pull the trigger on that guy.
They have to.
They have to at some point. I mean, he's top merch seller in the company. He's over as hell still, despite losing as much as he has.
And guess what? You give him the money in the bank, he has that briefcase for a year. You do whatever you want.
I'm holding that bitch until WrestleMania. Whatever happens with Cody and Roman,
Yeah.
they do that again, or Cody and Rock, whatever it is. Like, oof.
Imagine that.
Oof.
Battle of the Bloodline, and then Jey Uso leaves out of there.
Talk about a star moment. That'd be amazing. I don't know who else is going to be in the match, but I mean, I hope they don't put Braun Breaker in it, because then I kind of want him to win it.
I know.
but
I know.
they should do a thing with Braun, like from now on, for like all the way to the next Royal Rumble, where he's like talking about being in shit,
Yeah.
and he doesn't get put in it,
Right.
and he just goes and starts killing everybody on the roster.
You're not going to put me in the Royal Rumble?
But then, like his one guy that finally checks him is Braun Strowman, because he's the one that could take that shit.
That could happen. That could very well happen.
Down the road. Like when, like I'm talking, like, hey, maybe Survivor Series. They were gonna do something traditional Survivor Series thing, whatever it was, and Braun's on the Raw team. He's like, for 6 months I've been here, and you fucked me every single time. Now I'm gonna go kill some more of your favorite wrestlers. And then Braun Strowman walks out. He's like, heard you want to get some more ass whooping, son. You want to guess these hands? Tell him how you really feel about Braun. That clip flopped, and I want to redo, because that was great, and I took time and effort to edit that, and I'm pissed that it didn't get that many views on TikTok.
That's fine. That's fine.
Go to Side Hustle Pod 216 on TikTok and watch Double A. It's a little bit, you have to scroll down a little bit, but it's worth it. One of the few clips where I actually did some extra editing, where Double A basically calls Braun Strowman a bitch. It's hilarious. Like, it's fantastic. I hope one day we can get Braun on the show so I can just get out of the way. From one 6'6", 6'7" guy to another, man, take it. Just throw his ass through the wall. We can do some remodeling in here. It's fine. Pete's cool with it. I mean, let's do it. You'll be fine. We'll throw pads on the other side.
Oh, God. Use these sound barriers.
We should actually do that one day.
All right, let's fly through a few things here real quick. Week 2 of the Liv Morgan Cinema Tour. That's what I'm calling it now. It's the Liv Morgan Cinema Tour. Arousing. Wait a minute. Bad choice of words.
Arousing.
Success.
She gave a bunch of 14-year-olds some interesting moments on Raw.
Man.
Hey, that's how you do it, by the way.
That is how you do it.
Like, there's over sexual appeal, like Attitude Era, hey, boobs are out, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the right amount of seduction while still being taken seriously. Enough so to where Finn Balor, a top star, has to come out and separate you because it's like, whoa.
Hey.
She almost tempted a man.
Hey. If we want an emerging babyface, it might be wingman Finn Balor.
This whole thing, they can go so many different directions in the Judgment Day, but you know what? Again, Liv, to her credit, we talked about it. How is she going to handle all this? Mm-hmm. Because they're going to put the rocket on her back now, and she's fucking killing it.
She is.
She really is.
By the way, the people there's some industry experts that are complaining, I hope this is not the entire title run for Liv. You know, this story. Shut the hell up.
That's the whole point of her title run.
Shut the hell up.
It's the new long-term story of her since she got hurt was to have this arc with Rhea.
Yeah.
So it's going to play out over the next however many months.
And guess what? It got two things. Number one, I'm sure she'll have some challengers along the way.
Lyra, some other ones.
I'm sure she'll have some challengers.
Yeah.
And then number two,
hopefully.
I didn't hear anybody complaining when Rhea Ripley had very few title defenses when she had the championship.
Some people were like, what the hell is she doing? But, I mean, that's...
Yeah, I'm talking about those same industry experts that were like, I hope this story doesn't just involve Dominic and that's it, and she actually defends the title. They said nothing. They said nothing. Not our audience listening, but the industry experts said nothing when Rhea Ripley was defending the championship once every quarter.
Just patience is the important thing, because there actually is thought behind these stories. And like AEW, there's actually thought behind what's going to happen next. We're planning 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps ahead. Just be patient. It's just like the other stories that have had payoffs so far to this point. It's going to be worth it.
And it's entertaining. We'll see.
Yeah.
Just got to keep on watching. It's good stuff. We do got to mention something from SmackDown. It's one of the all-time great segments. And then they did it again. They did it again.
Well, Mark Henry looked a little different when I saw him on Friday. A little different.
A little different.
Got a new haircut.
Lost a little weight.
Yeah.
Well, mention what else happened? No.
Traded in that salmon jacket for a light blue.
Man. AJ even did the whole, like, he did the pose.
He gave Cody a kiss backstage. A little kiss.
It's amazing.
I love you, buddy.
Man.
Hadn't been seen with the Good Brothers in a while, so they brought him out too for extra dramatic effect.
Amazing.
Mark Henry didn't have the benefit of having other people like that come out to be with him too, which is like, okay. And honestly, we talked about with AJ, there's not like really much he can do right now. He needs to be on Raw, I think, and he needs to be going for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
That's how he can actually
talking about
win.
like, babe. You know what I think they'll do with AJ? You know this whole new TNA partnership.
That's his out.
Yeah.
That's his way to be able to still be active, get paid by WWE, and still do something.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see AJ Styles versus CM Punk one day.
Yeah.
And I'm sure maybe we'll get that maybe on Raw if he ever gets traded or whatever it is. But I mean, yeah.
He goes to a part-time schedule, but he works with the TNA talent with that partnership. That's what they get out of it. And then you need him for a big feud. You bring him back up. It tells itself. We did it. We were asking last week in my step up. I'm like, who's next for Cody? That's a great way to circle back.
I told you what was going to happen because they can't start anything Bloodline related because SummerSlam's still too far away, and they have too many big pay-per-views coming up in the middle of it. You kind of like after Money in the Bank is when you can probably start really teasing Bloodline, which it's beginning of July, but still. And no one else really stepped. I mean, we talked about Kevin Owens a little bit, but he's kind of in the Bloodline shit right now. So you kind of Randy's not really in the picture because he just had his match with Gunther and he's hurt and all that stuff. Theoretically, I don't know. He's doing some shit like that.
I know. Pick your nose, man.
Dude, you should have RKO'd her for that. I don't know, but yeah, no, it's.
But hey,
yeah,
you're gonna get a good match.
The TNA thing is gonna be cool.
You have a great story now.
Yep.
You have a great story. It's perfect for a B-level pay-per-view where it's not going to be the main event of the show, obviously.
Well,
McIntyre, it will be the co-main event.
Normally it would be the main event, but because we're in Scotland and Drew McIntyre is wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't be mad if they put it on first.
They could. They probably will. Real quick before we wrap and we do our step down, I didn't get a chance to send the graphic, but we did promise to give you an update on the quarter hour after Sasha opened the show last week. Sasha opened the show after AEW, what was the pay-per-view? Double or Nothing. Opened the show. And let me get to the tweet here real quick. I liked it, but it was a little while ago. It went down. It went down.
Shocker. Their overall audience was up. I think it was like 748 or whatever it was. So their overall audience improved by like, I want to say 50,000, whatever it was from the previous week. 60, 70, somewhere in there. But again, no competition with anything. And then also started off hot. People must have watched The Big Bang Theory again Wednesday night, and then they saw what was on their TV screen and flipped that shit off real quick.
Yeah, here it is. So I have it on my phone here. So the 8 o'clock segment last week, Mercedes Moné, live promo, angle with Sky Blue, Double or Nothing recap, Kill Switch versus Swerve, 8 to 8:15. The P2, which is the total viewership number, 931,000. Q2, Kill Switch versus Swerve, post-match, ad break, Moxley backstage promo. This is according to WrestleNomics, by the way. 739,000.
They legitimately lost almost 200,000 people in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's the high from the Big Bang
Theory.
Theory.
But yeah.
It's the high from the Big Bang Theory, the lead-up show in.
Mm-hmm.
They saw what was on their TV. Oh, wrestling's on. Click.
And
it stuck around there right for the remainder of the show. I think maybe it dipped below 700 at some point and then rose back up at some point.
And then it stayed a little consistent
the
the rest of the way, but yeah. So you have that. So, there you go.
What a bunch of trash.
Quarter hours tell a story.
It's.
They tell a story. It's all trends. You know, how do you build from your pay-per-view? Are you effectively building from your pay-per-view? And I said this before. Swerve's going to get the blame. Swerve's going to get the blame. They're trotting Swerve out there basically as a prop.
Yeah.
Not really as a world champion. All right, let's wrap here with our step up here. Man, I'll tell you what. My step up this week, I'll go first here. My step up this week, I would say Carmelo Hayes, but he's blowing it for me.
It wasn't that bad.
He's blowing it for me.
It was not that bad. And he rolled with it. He could have got flustered and all that stuff, but he rolled with LA Knight and he still finished. He hit his tag. But LA Knight's obviously one of the best promos in the business, so it's tough.
Yeah. He did roll with it. I'll give him that, so, hey, kudos to you for doing that. My step up this week, coming up, look, it's going to be Nia Jax. Nia Jax, she kind of did her thing, but now, you have that prop with you, Queen of the Ring. Now
you have that prop with you.
I should say that prop. You have that thing with you.
Piece of jewelry.
That sounds worse.
Oh.
You have that thing with you. That's really bad.
Got that thing with you?
You got that thing.
Got that thing?
Oh, man.
She got that thing.
A.
B. C.
D.
E.
F.
G.
H.
We're not doing this.
I
regret starting this.
Believe that Nia Jax can continue her ascension to a championship match at SummerSlam. So, again, this is going to be her opportunity. I expect her to smash once again. I also like giving an honorable mention to with these step-ups. And my honorable mention this week is going to be Solo. Look, there are some people who are a little down with the bloodline thing. I think it's cooking. I think it's cooking at the... It's
simmering.
It's simmering at an appropriate pace.
Mm-hmm.
It's, it will boil.
The Cody line was like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They haven't forgotten.
Solo, do your thing. Do your thing. And you do that, you'll be ready to go when he comes back. Nobody wants him back more than I do. Nobody in the arena wants Roman back more than me.
I was going to say James Ellsworth.
Paul Heyman's amazing.
He's really good.
Paul Heyman's amazing.
My step up for this week is Ilya Dragunov. I think there's got to be someone to step to Braun before he decides to spear half the locker room. So I want to see how he handles this because Braun, when he faced him in NXT, was already presented as like this, the guy, right? Mm-hmm. Now it's like Braun's the Warpath guy. He's the Braun Strowman in 2016, right? The guy who's just running through everybody. How does he handle that? And how does WWE let him handle that? I think this is an opportunity for him to really step up and keep growing that star to get to that Gunther match at some point because Gunther is on another level right now.
Yeah, he is.
So how does he get there? This is a good first step. I'm not saying he needs to beat Braun Breaker, but he needs to show out, which it's Ilya. So I'm expecting it, but at the same point, that's why he's on my step up list because he's got to bring it. He really has to. It can't be another bullshit Raw match. It's got to be something special. So,
got to do that. Got to make that happen. But I'll tell you what.
Cavs, got to make it happen. Come on, Cavs.
Oh, boy. We also talked about that last night. All right, that'll do it for the show. We'll talk to you guys next week. Same time, same good old channel.
Well, we don't know what time. I mean, it depends on whenever AA wants to fucking wake up and upload it. So,
look, not my fault. Last week's episode was an hour and 40 minutes. Okay.
Well, some would argue it would be your fault because you do talk on the show too.
Pete, this was a great 30-minute show, wasn't it? Good night, everybody. Or have a great day.
We'll see you guys later.